Within the hidden chambers of your consciousness lies the power to sculpt every detail of your world before it ever manifests in form. When you learn to dwell continually in the feeling of your desire as already fulfilled, you become the living source from which that reality must emerge. To cultivate this art of living in the end, begin each morning not by scanning the day's tasks, but by immersing yourself in a brief, sacred moment of assumption. Close your eyes and allow your mind to paint a scene that implies the final attainment of your goal. Perhaps stepping into a home you've long dreamed of, hearing the echo of your own laughter at its doorway, feeling the solid weight of its key in your hand. As the scene settles, notice the subtle shift in your heartbeat, as though you have walked through that doorway already. Cherish that moment. It is both seed and soil. Throughout your day, this imagined state must be honored as your present fact. When a fleeting thought of not yet threatens to intrude, gently usher it aside and return to the inner scene. Do not chastise yourself for distraction. Merely guide your attention back, as one might tilt a lens to sharpen focus. The essence of this practice is persistence without strain. In the same way the sun does not apologize for rising, you do not apologize for assuming. You simply know with unshakable certainty that your inner act has irrevocably set the creative law in motion. To enhance the vividness of your assumption, engage all of your senses in the imagined moment. Taste the crisp air of newfound freedom. Smell the familiar scent of success. Hear the applause of unseen friends. Feel the warmth of accomplishment radiating through your chest. In this symphony of sensation, the subconscious mind finds incontrovertible proof that the reality already exists. It then arranges conditions, events, and people in waking life to mirror the inner blueprint. This is not fanciful daydreaming, but disciplined, imaginative engineering. Each sensory detail serves as a rivet, anchoring your assumption to the unseen. In the quiet twilight before sleep, when the conscious mind grows still, you hold a golden opportunity to reinforce your assumption. As you drift towards slumber, replay your chosen scene exactly as you envisioned it in the morning. Allow the details to glow more brightly now, unimpeded by external input. If wandering thoughts arise, acknowledge them and release them with the unwavering thought, I choose to dwell in my perfected end. If you practice this ritual night after night, you will notice subtle shifts. A chance conversation, a sudden insight, a helpful nudge from an unexpected source. These are the first tender sprouts of your inner act, breaking through to daylight. Resistance will surface, for the old patterns of doubt are tenacious. It may take the form of worry, what if it never happens? Or impatience, why is it taking so long? Observe these thoughts without judgment, recognizing them as signals rather than truths. Each time you catch yourself entangled, pause and breathe. Then summon the living scene. See yourself already triumphant. Feel the landscape of that success. Hear the triumphant notes of your imagined soundtrack. Let this renewed assumption supplant the shadow of doubt. Over time, the old voices will grow faint, replaced by the steadfast voice of inner conviction. Consider the example of one who longed for a fulfilling career. After years of disappointment, she dedicated 10 minutes each morning to imagine herself teaching enthusiastic students in a bright, airy classroom. She saw their eager faces, felt a sturdy podium beneath her hands, heard the hush of attention when she spoke. Within weeks, a casual acquaintance mentioned an adjunct position opening at a community college. Though she had no formal application in, she felt compelled to inquire and was offered the role. What had changed? Not the world around her first, but her inner orientation. By living in the end of her desire, she became the magnetic center that drew opportunity to her. As you practice this art, You cultivate an inner sanctuary of assurance, a place where your desired reality already exists. In this sanctuary, you train your nervous system to vibrate at the frequency of fulfillment. Each thought, word, and action then springs from a reservoir of confident expectation rather than uncertainty. Notice how your posture shifts, how your speech gains a new resonance, how strangers respond to you with unexpected warmth. These are the external echoes of your inner state. This discipline requires no tools beyond your own imagination and the willingness to assume. It does not demand that you manipulate events in rigid detail, but that you discipline your consciousness to reside perpetually in a chosen state. Like tending a garden, you need only plant the seed and water it daily. The laws of growth, though invisible, unfailingly bring the plant to maturity. Likewise, by nurturing the inner assumption, you activate the immutable power that unfolds your imagined scene into reality. Let each day be a demonstration of your inner conviction. Step into your imagined scenario before stepping into your daily routine. Speak, move, and make choices as though the final chapter of your story is already written. If you encounter a moment that tempts you to question, pause, breathe, and return within. In this way, your external circumstances cease to dictate your inner peace. Instead, your inner peace governs the unfolding of circumstances. As you cultivate this art of living, in the end, you align with the creative intelligence that underpins all manifestation, and you discover that the reality you seek is not something to be earned or pursued, but something to be acknowledged within. Close your eyes and imagine for a moment that you are standing at the threshold of your deepest desire. You are not merely picturing an image on a screen in your mind, but stepping into a living panorama of sensation. The air around you is charged with the promise of fulfillment. The subtle rustle of leaves whispers possibility. The faint scent of blossoms speaks of renewal, and the warmth of sunlight on your skin echoes the comfort of achievement. In this moment, you are not an observer. You are immersed. This is the essence of engaging all your senses in your inner scenes. For it is through sensory immersion that your imagination transcends mere thought and becomes a force that reshapes reality itself. To begin, let your sense of sight lead you into the scene. Do not simply visualize a static picture. Allow the landscape to breathe, to shift in color and light as though alive. Notice the way shadows play across surfaces, how the hue of a single flower seems to glow from within. See the subtle movements, the gentle sway of a curtain, the flicker of candles, the ripple of water. The more you invest in visual detail, the texture of wood grain, the sparkle of crystal, the exact shade of a sky at dusk, the more convincing your inner world becomes. Your subconscious mind is ever vigilant. It will accept what you paint with vibrant specificity and work tirelessly to match your outer circumstances to this internal masterpiece. Next, invite sound to join the tapestry. Imagine the tone, pitch, and rhythm of every noise that would naturally accompany your fulfilled desire. Perhaps you hear soft music drifting in the background, its melody resonating with your sense of joy. Maybe you catch the murmur of conversation, warm voices congratulating you, laughter punctuating each sentence, even ambient noises, the hum of distant traffic, the crackle of a fireplace, the gentle patter of rain, serve to cement the authenticity of your scene. Sound anchors emotion, and when your mind hears what it expects, the body responds with physiological signals of belief. A quickened pulse, a soothing release of tension, an expansive breath. Let the sense of touch deepen your conviction. Feel the plush fabric of a chair beneath your fingers, the smooth surface of a polished desk, the caress of a loved one's hand on your shoulder. Sense the temperature. Is it the invigorating cool of a spring morning or the cozy warmth of an autumn afternoon? Let your body recall the sensation of light pressure, the weight of objects in your grasp. the gentle pull of fabric against your skin. These tactile details transform imagination into experience as your nervous system registers the scene as real and aligns your physiology with your expectation. The sense of smell is a potent key to the subconscious. Conjure the fragrance that would naturally accompany your envisioned reality. If it is a home you seek, breathe in the aroma of fresh flowers, the clean linen of newly laundered sheets, or the inviting scent of baked bread. If it is success you envision, perhaps there is the crisp aroma of paper and ink from a signed contract, or the energizing aroma of freshly brewed coffee at a celebratory gathering. Smell evokes memory and emotion in the deepest layers of mind. By weaving scent into your inner tableau, you awaken the latent power of associative recall and anchor your assumption in rich emotional tones. Invite taste to play its role in the drama. If your scene unfolds around a dinner table, envision the tang of fine wine, the sweetness of ripe fruit, the satisfying saltiness of a gourmet dish. Taste can be as literal or as symbolic as you choose. A sip of water that feels cool and pure. A piece of dark chocolate that melts with indulgence. Even a small taste can trigger a cascade of pleasure responses, convincing the mind and body that the moment you imagine is indeed your present reality. As you assemble this multisensory portrait, pay attention to emotion, for it is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. Notice how your chest expands with confidence, how a smile lifts your lips, how your heart beats with gratitude. Emotion is the alchemy that transforms sensory detail into creative force. Cultivate feelings of certainty, joy, and appreciation, and let them saturate every instant of your imagined scene. Do not rush through the exercise. Linger in the glow of fulfillment until your entire being resonates with the truth of the experience. Practice this sensory immersion consistently, especially in moments of quiet reflection. Mornings and evenings are ideal when the mind is most receptive. Dedicate even 5 minutes to constructing your scene in full sensory color. If distracting thoughts intrude, gently guide your focus back to the details you have chosen. Over time, you will notice that your body remembers the sensation so vividly that you can evoke it with ease, almost like replaying a cherished memory. Notice how the boundaries between imagination and reality begin to blur. You might receive unexpected calls, stumble upon informative articles, or find circumstances aligning in ways that seem almost too timely to be coincidence. These are the ripples your inner conviction sends out, a magnetic pulse that draws matching frequencies into your life. Remain alert to these clues, but resist the urge to question or analyze. Instead, return to your sensory-rich scene and strengthen it again, for repetition engraves your desired reality onto the subconscious like a well-worn path through the forest floor. In engaging all your senses, you tap into the universal language of creation. Sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste together form a vibrational symphony that resonates with the very fabric of existence. When you conduct this symphony within, the outer world cannot help but play the same notes. Let your imagination be a conduit for sensation, emotion, and belief, and you will witness the seamless fusion of inner vision and external form. Feel arises as the soul of imagination, breathing life into every visualized scene until it pulses with reality. When you merely picture a desired outcome without emotion, the mind marks it as a distant possibility rather than an imminent fact. To infuse your imaginings with emotion is to ignite the fuse that propels a thought into existence. Begin by selecting a single, heartfelt desire, perhaps a significant career breakthrough or a deeply healing relationship. Envision the moment of triumph or connection and consciously tune into the emotion you will experience when it unfolds. Allow the sensation to swell within you, the exhilaration of success, the warmth of acceptance, the serene confidence that comes from knowing your wish stands fulfilled. As you hold this inner scene, observe where in your body the feeling registers. Does your chest expand with pride? Do your limbs quiver with excitement? Does a gentle calm pervade your mind? Label the sensation not with words like happiness or peace, which can remain abstract, but with vivid descriptions, the thrill of standing on a stage bathed in applause, the comforting weight of an embrace from someone you cherish. By identifying the exact quality of emotion, you sharpen its intensity. Your subconscious mind hears more clearly the specific vibration of heartfelt joy or relief than it does a generic desire. To deepen the effect, combine emotion with sensory detail. Imagine the exact tone of applause, its rhythmic rise and fall, so that your ears feel the resonance. Picture the soft lights reflecting off a polished floor, so your eyes sense the sparkle. Let your skin recall the brush of warm air or the tender pressure of an arm around your shoulder. As these sensory elements intertwine with emotion, the inner scene transforms from a mental sketch into a living tapestry. The subconscious is drawn to this tapestry as a moth to flame, recognizing the fervor of your conviction and initiating a sequence of events that molds outer circumstances to mirror your inner state. Practice this infusion of feeling in brief but focused sessions throughout the day. Even a minute spent fully inhabiting the emotion of your fulfilled desire can shift your energetic alignment. When a thought emerges that contradicts your assumption, "This is impossible," or "not in my control," acknowledge it without judgment and gently return to your charged scene. The friction between doubt and feeling is natural, a sign that the old habit patterns are still active. The system alone dissolves this friction over time. Every repetition reinforces a new neural pathway, one where your psyche defaults to expectation rather than apprehension. Notice how your posture and facial expressions subtly change as you dwell in feeling. Shoulders lift, posture straightens, muscles relax. A small smile may grace your lips. These external cues are not mere byproducts, but integral aspects of the process. Your body's alignment with joy or confidence signals to your subconscious that this state is genuine. It is not enough to think or pretend. You must inhabit the feeling so thoroughly that your entire being resonates with the reality you seek. In this unity of mind, body, and emotion lies the secret of manifestation. At night, before drifting into sleep, revisit your emotionally charged scene. The threshold between waking and dreaming is a fine veil in which the subconscious mind is most receptive. Enter your scene with the same fervor. Feel the swell of your chest. Hear the triumphant notes. Sense the warmth of accomplishment as though it is the present moment. Do not aim to control the dream that follows, or rather, allow the feeling to permeate your slumber, planting a seed that will germinate as you rest. You may awaken with fresh insights or an unexpected inspiration, a name, a number, a thought that propels you toward your goal. These intuitive nudges are the subconscious mind delivering on its promise to fulfill the assumption you have impressed upon it. When life circumstances appear to contradict your assumption, remember that emotion serves as both anchor and compass. If frustration arises, transform it by shifting your focus back to the inner feeling. Turn impatience into anticipation, worry into a quietly confident expectation. Feel not only the end result, but also the soothing reassurance that this is already done. In doing so, you dissolve the power of negative evidence and redirect your energy toward creative alignment. Over time, you will discover that events no longer tug you into pessimism. Instead, you maintain an equanimity anchored in the emotion of fulfillment. Study your own reactions as you practice. Keep a journal of moments when you successfully summoned feeling and observe subtle shifts in your environment. Perhaps the door opens unexpectedly or a conversation takes an encouraging turn. These occurrences are the fingerprints of your inner state at work. Celebrate them privately, without fanfare, knowing that recognition strengthens the bond between feeling and manifestation. As your confidence grows, you will require shorter intervals of practice, for the force of feeling becomes more accessible, ready at a moment's notice to guide you. Ultimately, infusing your imaginings with emotion is an exercise in self-mastery. It teaches you to govern your inner world, to command the raw material of reality with the authority of feeling. Each heartfelt moment you cultivate is an affirmation to the unseen intelligence that you are prepared to receive what you have assumed. As you refine this practice, you enter a state where emotion and imagination co-create seamlessly, and the once elusive gap between thought and reality dissolves into a single, vibrant experience of becoming. In the unfolding of your inner creative work, nothing is as vital as unwavering faith. Persistence is the silent engine that drives imagination into form, and faith is the fuel that keeps it running when the road ahead seems uncertain. When you decide to embody a desired outcome, you will inevitably encounter moments of hesitation, brief flickers of doubt that threaten to derail your vision. In those moments, your task is to recognize doubt as a passing cloud rather than a storm. Notice it, breathe through it, and then return immediately to the scene you have painted in your mind. Every time you refuse to linger in uncertainty, you reinforce the belief that your inner act has already set the creative law in motion. To cultivate this steadfast conviction, begin by observing the quality of your thoughts. When a thought arises that questions your assumption, "What if this never comes to pass?" do not scold yourself. Instead, treat the thought as an indicator that attention has drifted. Gently guide your focus back to the imagined reality. Feel the subtle excitement coursing through your chest. Hear the distinct notes of success echoing in your mind's ear. The more swiftly you redirect your attention, the stronger the neural pathway becomes between intention and belief. Over time, this pathway deepens into an automatic groove that channels your consciousness away from worry and towards assured expectation. Persistence requires consistency of practice. Schedule brief pauses throughout your day, moments when you stop all activity and return to your inner scene. Close your eyes and evoke the precise sensations of fulfillment, even if only for a few breaths. You might imagine the texture of a new business contract in your hand, the sound of genuine applause, the steady warmth of confidence enveloping your being. By interspersing these mini rehearsals within the rhythm of daily life, you train your subconscious to treat the imagined reality as present fact. As these micro moments accumulate, they weave a resilient fabric of unshakable faith that can withstand the tug of external circumstances. When resistance shows its face, welcome it with curiosity. Doubt may manifest as a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach or as a restless flutter of thoughts. Acknowledge it with a simple phrase: "I see you, doubt, and I choose certainty." Then deliberately return to the inner scene with renewed vigor. If you catch yourself slipping into analysis, asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" interrupt that pattern by repeating a brief affirmative phrase such as, "It is done," or "I live in my end." These words serve as anchors to pull your attention back to the feeling of fulfillment, where the creative power resides. The key is not to battle negative thoughts, but to outshine them with a brighter mental image. Consider the case of someone seeking a new chapter in their career. After months of overlooked applications, they might experience a wave of discouragement. In that moment, rather than scanning job boards again out of desperation, they choose to rehearse their inner vision. Stepping confidently into an office, greeting colleagues who value their contributions, receiving accolades for work well done. This act of returning to their chosen state, despite outward silence, sends an unmistakable signal to their subconscious. Within days, they receive an unexpected referral from an acquaintance who had overheard their enthusiasm. The external world had no choice but to align with the persistent faith they harbored internally. To strengthen your capacity for persistence, embed simple cues in your environment. Leave a written affirmation where you will see it first thing in the morning. A sticky note on your mirror that reads, "I live in my fulfilled desire." Place a small object on your desk, a smooth pebble or a crystal, that you touch whenever your mind wanders. Set a gentle alarm on your phone to prompt a 10-second mental return to your imagined scene. These tactile and temporal reminders act as friendly jostles, keeping your attention tethered to the reality you choose. Each reminder is an opportunity to reaffirm your faith and to continue building the momentum of expectation. Your posture and voice also carry the weight of your belief. When you stand or sit with shoulders back and chest open, you signal to your nervous system that you are confident. Practice speaking aloud, perhaps in privacy, affirmations about your fulfilled desire, using a tone that exudes certainty and calm. Feel the resonance of your own voice as though it belongs to the person who has already achieved the outcome. These physical expressions are more than mere aids. They integrate mind, body, and spirit into a unified state of determined expectation. The synergy of posture, tone, and mental imagery transforms your entire being into a living testament of faith. As you continue, track subtle indicators of progress without clinging to them. You may notice slight shifts in mood, spontaneous ideas, or small coincidences that echo your inner state. When these appear, celebrate them quietly, without fanfare, and then return to your practice. Avoid swinging between elation and disappointment. Maintain a stable center of conviction. Persistence is not frantic effort, but relaxed confidence. It is the quiet assurance that your inner act is irrevocable, and that the outer world will eventually mirror it in perfect time. By persisting with unshakable faith, you become the unwavering source from which your imagined reality must arise. Each night, as the world around you grows still and consciousness drifts towards slumber, you stand at the threshold of your most potent creative opportunity. In these precious few minutes between wakefulness and dream, your subconscious mind lies open and receptive, like fertile soil awaiting the seed of your intention. To use this interval with precision, begin by settling into a comfortable posture, free from distraction. Turn off screens, silence notifications, and allow your body to sink into softness. As you draw a few slow, deliberate breaths, feel the boundary between day and night dissolve, and imagine yourself slipping gently into the realm of pure imagination. With eyes closed, evoke the inner scene you have chosen as the blueprint of your desire. It might be the key turning in the lock of your new front door, the soft applause of an audience moved by your words, or the warm embrace of a loved one whose presence affirms your worth. Rather than performing a mere replay of images, step fully into the moment. Notice the gentle pressure of the key in your hand, the echo of footsteps on polished wood, the subtle scent that permeates the air. Inhale the feeling as though it were an aromatic essence, exhaling any residue of doubt or tension. As your mind luxuriates in these details, the subconscious begins to accept the scenario as fact, laying down new pathways that will guide events toward its manifestation. If sleep beckons before you perfect every nuance, do not worry. The subconscious is not fussy about perfection. What matters is the impression you leave it with. Even a brief, wholehearted rehearsal, just a minute spent inhabiting the end result, can plant a vivid impression. Notice how in those moments your heart may quicken, your muscles relax, and a subtle smile emerge. These physiological cues confirm that your inner act is authentic and that your entire being participates in this creative exercise. When thought drifts to mundane concerns, tomorrow's chores or unanswered emails, greet such interruptions without frustration. Acknowledge them as routine chatter, then gently steer your attention back to the sensory-rich tableau you have envisioned. As you deepen this nightly ritual, you may find that the scenes begin to unfurl without effort, as if your mind has learned to conjure the desired reality effortlessly. This is a sign that the subconscious has accepted your assumption and is at work behind the scenes. You may even experience brief, dreamlike fragments, a snippet of conversation, a glimpse of your desired setting, or a fleeting sensation of triumph. Rather than forcing coherence, receive these spontaneous images with gratitude, for they are the subconscious mind's initial response to your directive. Allow them to surface and fade, always returning to the central image that resonates most strongly with your intention. Consistency is the cornerstone of success in this approach. Just as a musician refines technique with daily practice, you must rehearse your scene each night to reinforce the new pattern within. Even if the world outside appears unchanged, persist without wavering. The subconscious operates on its own timetable, organizing circumstances in perfect sequence according to the inner seed you have sown. Resist the temptation to measure progress by external milestones. Instead, focus on the integrity of your nightly ceremony. Every repetition deepens the root of your assumption, making it ever more difficult for doubt to take hold. To enrich the experience, incorporate a brief affirmation at the end of each rehearsal, in a soft, confident whisper, so as not to disturb others. Declare a statement that encapsulates your accomplished desire. I wake each morning in my new home. My work brings joy and abundance. Or, I am loved deeply and unconditionally. These spoken words serve as a final seal on your inner act, bridging the gap between imagination and belief. Spoken affirmations carry a vibrational quality that further impresses the subconscious, cementing the conviction that your wish is already fulfilled. Over time, you may notice subtle shifts. A phone call arrives at just the right moment, a chance meeting leads to new opportunities, or an insight emerges that clarifies your path. These occurrences are the echoes of your nightly labor, rippling outward into the world you inhabit. When such synchronicities appear, resist the urge to dissect them with analysis or skepticism. Instead, smile inwardly and rededicate yourself that very evening to your chosen scene, confident that each detail you rehearse adds momentum to the unfolding of events. Even when life's demands press in, remember that this practice need not consume your entire evening. A focused 2 or 3 minute session suffices to leave a powerful imprint. Consider it the prelude to sleep, a moment of intimate collaboration between your conscious will and the intelligent force that operates within. As you drift off, let the final whispers of your inner monologue be guided by gratitude. Thank the unseen intelligence for its cooperation and concede to the wisdom that knows exactly how to bring your vision to fruition. In this way, your bedtime ritual becomes both an act of creation and an exercise in trust. You learn to navigate between active imagination and surrendered expectation, maintaining faith in the unseen while releasing attachment to how and when the desire will manifest. Night after night, this balance nurtures a state of consciousness in which your inner world and outer reality harmonize. The boundary between dream and waking life dissolves, and you awaken each morning with your goal more present than ever, carried forward by the unstoppable current of your subconscious conviction. Revision is the art of returning to the canvas of your mind and repainting scenes that have already occurred, transforming memories of lack or discord into blueprints of harmony and fulfillment. Imagine your day as a film reel. As the final moments before sleep approach, you hold the director's chair, able to pause and re-edit any scene that left you with a twinge of regret or disappointment. In this sacred interval, you call back the unwelcome moment, perhaps a tense conversation, a missed opportunity, or a flicker of worry, and you immerse yourself anew in the conclusion you truly desire. By rehearsing your chosen revision as though it unfolded exactly as you wished, you impress upon the deepest layers of mind a fresh template of reality, one that dissolves the weight of past error and opens a channel for new, constructive experiences to flow. To practice revision with precision, cultivate a brief ritual each evening, As the world grows still and your body settles into rest, close your eyes and breathe slowly until your mind softens. Gently replay the specific event you wish to amend, recalling only the essential outline: who was there, what transpired, and how it felt. Then allow your imagination to reroute the narrative. Perhaps kind words replaced harsh criticism, or a door opened instead of closing. See every gesture, hear every tone, and feel the relief or joy as though it were happening now. Linger in this altered scene long enough for your emotions to align with the new outcome. Even a few minutes of focused revision can plant seeds that the subconscious mind will nurture while you sleep. Cultivating tangible shifts in waking life. Consistency deepens the potency of revision. As you repeat this nightly exercise, you train your mind to default toward the reality you prefer, rather than the one you've unconsciously accepted. Think of each rehearsal as reinforcing a neural pathway. The more you travel it with vivid feeling, the smoother and more natural it becomes. You don't need elaborate scripts. Simplicity often carries greater power. A single, heartfelt rewrite performed with emotional conviction will outshine a lengthy but half-hearted attempt. Should your thoughts wander, gently redirect them back to your intended conclusion, treating distractions like passing clouds rather than obstacles. Over time, you'll notice that the mental image comes alive more effortlessly, as though memory itself has been rewritten to reflect your chosen truth. Consider the story of someone who ended a workday feeling unappreciated after a curt exchange with a colleague. Rather than letting that moment fester into a pattern of resentment, they chose revision as their tool. That evening, they visualized the same interaction, but imagined their coworker offering sincere thanks and encouragement instead of brusque dismissal. They heard the warmth in the colleague's voice, saw a genuine smile, and felt a lightness in their own chest. Upon waking, the person carried a different energy. They walked into the office with relaxed shoulders and a confident smile. By lunchtime, the colleague approached with an invitation to collaborate on a new project, an overture that echoed the tone of the revision they had practiced the night before. The science behind this technique lies in the heightened receptivity of the mind as it drifts towards sleep. In the hypnagogic state, the twilight zone between wakefulness and slumber, the conscious filters relax, and the subconscious mind remains alert, primed to accept the last impression it receives. Revision leverages this window of opportunity, planting a freshly crafted memory into the soil of the subconscious. During the night, as dreams weave through the mind's landscape, that new impression takes root, germinating ideas, inspirations, and subtle shifts in attitude that blossom when you awaken. What once hung as an obstacle in your mental field now transforms into a fertile ground for positive outcomes. Beyond the nightly ritual, you can apply revision spontaneously whenever you detect a lingering emotional discomfort. During the day, note moments that register as tension, regret, or doubt. Pause, breathe, and mentally replace the unresolved element with your preferred version. Imagine the soothing words you wish you'd spoken, the task you'd completed without struggle, or the sense of peace you long to feel. Even a brief mental adjustment recalibrates your energy, restoring alignment with your intended state. This ongoing use of revision turns it from a bedtime exercise into a living practice, one that empowers you to correct course at any moment. Allow yourself to become the editor of your own life story through the simple yet profound act of revision. Imagine your life as a seamless thread of intention woven through every gesture, word, and thought. To practice the law of assumption in each waking moment is to live as though your goal has already been accomplished. Begin by noticing the quality of your first breath upon rising. Rather than greeting the day with anxiety over tasks or uncertainties, inhale deeply and claim the truth you wish to embody. A sense of abundance, confidence, or well-being. Let that feeling infuse your posture as you stretch, stand, and move into your morning routine. By anchoring your day's first actions in the assumption of fulfillment, You set the tone for every subsequent interaction. As you navigate your environment, view each mundane decision as an opportunity to affirm your chosen state. When selecting an outfit, choose garments that reflect the person you imagine yourself to be, someone poised, successful, and at ease. Notice how clothing carries energy. Smooth fabrics convey confidence, vibrant colors evoke vitality, and tailored lines suggest professionalism. By dressing in alignment with your assumption, you transmit a non-verbal message to your subconscious and to the world that you already reside in the reality you desire. This practice transforms a simple wardrobe choice into a powerful declaration of it. Your posture and movement likewise speak volumes. Rather than slouching or shuffling, hold your spine erect, shoulders relaxed but back, chin slightly raised. As you walk, imagine your feet carrying you toward a life that mirrors your inner vision. Each step becomes a living affirmation. You move not from lack, but from fullness. Feel the ground beneath your feet, acknowledging that it supports the person you are becoming. Whether pausing to tie a shoelace or reaching for a doorknob, infuse the action with the grace and assurance of someone whose wish is already fulfilled. Over time, these small adjustments reprogram muscle memory and body language to reflect your inner conviction. The words you speak are equally potent. Notice your internal dialogue. Are your thoughts phrased in terms of if and when, or do they unfold as present facts? Replace conditional language, I hope, I will try, if I get, with statements voiced in the present tense, I am, I have, I enjoy. When conversing with others, share your reality confidently. Speak of future plans as already in motion, and reference successes as ongoing experiences. For example, rather than saying, I want to find a new job, say, I'm grateful for the fulfilling position I hold. Through this shift, your subconscious no longer distinguishes between imagination and current experience. It simply adapts to the reality you confidently assert, and circumstances begin to align accordingly. Even the smallest mental choices matter. When a challenge arises, an unexpected delay, a critical remark, or a moment of self-doubt, pause mentally and ask, what serves my assumed state best? If irritation threatens to surface, redirect your thought toward the calm assurance of your inner scene. If worry intrudes, gently replace it with a brief mental rehearsal of your desired outcome. Imagine the door finally opening, the conversation turning amicable, or the resolution arriving with ease. In this way, your mind becomes a vigilant guard, intercepting thoughts that conflict with your assumption and swiftly realigning with your chosen state. Practice this mindfulness consistently, and you'll discover that internal corrections come faster and more naturally. Carry this approach into every setting, at work, in social situations, and during solitary moments. When seated at your desk, feel the satisfaction of tasks completed with excellence. View each email sent or call made as proof of your competence and success. In conversation, listen as though you already attract positivity and respect. Respond with the warmth and confidence you believe you deserve. During breaks or transitions, close your eyes for a breath and reaffirm your assumed reality before returning to action. These micro moments of intentional alignment become the warp and weft of your daily experience, seamlessly integrating the law of assumption into the fabric of your life. By living each moment as if you transform your entire existence into a continuous act of creation, the external world, guided by your unspoken affirmations, rearranges itself to reflect the consistent assumption you embody. Over time, the gap between imagination and reality narrows until it vanishes altogether, revealing that the life you've longed for was not at some distant horizon, but present in every choice you made along the way. At the moment you have felt the full reality of your desire within, a subtle shift must occur. You must release the demand for details and trust an intelligence far greater than your conscious planning. Your inner active assumption has set a current in motion, and any further mental agitation will only tangle the flow. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, its wings cannot move. If you release your grip, it will soar on its own accord. In the same way, after you have done your part, by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, your next task is to yield and observe without anxiety. This yielding is not passivity, but a confident step back, knowing the seed you planted will grow according to its innate wisdom. Consider a gardener who carefully plants seeds, waters them, and then steps away, trusting nature's laws to nourish the roots and encourage growth. The gardener does not plunge the seeds into the ground a dozen times a day or dig them up to examine progress. Instead, patience and faith guide each action. In our creative process, the how is like the unseen soil and sunlight, invisible forces aligned to feed your desire. Once you have sown the seed of imagination and emotion, your conscious efforts should shift from control to cooperation. Allow space in your mind for intuition, insight, and unexpected guidance to arise, for these are the gentle hands that nurture your inner vision into outer form. When you detach from the need to direct every event, you open a channel to the subconscious mind, which operates through a finer intelligence than your waking ego. Your conscious mind can sketch the blueprint, but the subconscious mind is the master architect that knows exactly how to construct the building. By surrendering, you grant this inner architect full permission to orchestrate circumstances in perfect sequence. Any attempt to micromanage outcomes by overthinking strategies or worrying about timing creates mental friction that stifles the creative current. Instead, cultivate an attitude of relaxed expectancy, as though you already see the finished work and merely await its materialization. Practical surrender begins with a simple affirmation: I release the outcome to the intelligence within. Repeat this phrase whenever you catch yourself worrying over the means. Notice the tension in your body ease as you speak these words, and breathe deeply into the space they create. Then shift your focus to gratitude. Thank the unseen intelligence for its guidance and assistance. Gratitude acts like a magnet, drawing more reasons to feel thankful and reinforcing your trust. As you practice this daily, you will find that solutions appear without strain, often in ways more elegant and effective than any plan you could have devised. In moments of impatience or doubt, remind yourself that time is a servant of your inner conviction, not its master. A seed germinates on its own timetable, hidden beneath the surface until the moment is ripe for sprouting. Likewise, your desire unfolds in accordance with an intelligence that factors in countless elements beyond your awareness. Resist the temptation to compare your manifesting process with external milestones or arbitrary schedules. Instead, stay anchored in the feeling of already having received, and let the awareness of fulfillment be your only indicator of progress. As you step back from conscious control, you may notice subtle inner guidance, a sudden idea, a timely conversation, or an unexpected opportunity that seems to come out of nowhere. Treat these signals as friendly signposts rather than coincidences. When you receive an inspired thought, act on it swiftly, trusting that it aligns with your assumption. These inspired actions are the bridge between your inner world and external reality, and they emerge most readily when your mind is uncluttered by doubt. By following these nudges, you cooperate with the intelligence within, allowing it to choreograph events on your behalf. A practical example might be someone eagerly visualizing the perfect career opportunity, but then obsessing over job postings, interviews, and timing. When they release their grip, ceasing frantic searches and instead trusting the guidance that surfaces, they might receive an unexpected referral from a friend at precisely the right moment. This referral arrives not because they exhausted every job board, but because they honored the intelligence within by letting go. Their inner convictions set the stage, and their inspired action at the opportune moment seal the deal. In such instances, the outer world conforms to the ease of inner alignment rather than the tension of relentless striving. Throughout your day, look for small openings to surrender control. When a plan changes, accept it without frustration. When a delay occurs, see it as a pause for better alignment. Each time you choose trust over resistance, you reinforce the channel between your conscious desire and the subconscious potency that fulfills it. Notice how your mood brightens, how solutions appear more fluidly, and how circumstances bend slightly in your favor. These subtle shifts are the quiet applause of the intelligence within, celebrating your willingness to collaborate rather than command. As you integrate this principle of surrender, remember that the ultimate proof of your practice lies not in external validation, but in the serene confidence you carry. The deepest satisfaction arises when you no longer tether your joy to the outcome itself, but to the knowledge that you have done your part and that the rest is in capable hands. This profound trust transforms every moment into an expression of creative partnership, a dance between your chosen vision and the unseen forces that bring it to life. When you release the demand for how and rest in the assurance of fulfillment, you create the perfect conditions for manifestation to occur with precision and grace. And so, having walked through each step, from engraving your fulfilled desire in vivid detail and immersing all your senses in that inner scene, to igniting it with heartfelt emotion and sustaining it with unwavering faith, you now possess a complete map for creative living. You've learned to harness the stillness of night for potent rehearsal, to rewrite yesterday's disappointments into tomorrow's triumphs, and to carry the assumption of your success into every waking choice. You understand that persistence anchors your vision, while the gentle art of surrender invites unseen forces to orchestrate the how. Take these 8 threads and weave them into the tapestry of your daily life. In the morning, step into your imagined end. Throughout the day, feel your reality as though it stands before you now. At night, seal your intention with purposeful rehearsal and revision. Watch how circumstances begin to bend toward your unshakable conviction, how inspiration finds you, and how opportunities materialize with perfect timing. Remember always, the world you perceive is but a mirror to the world you inhabit within. By aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the fulfilled state you desire, you call forth its reflection in the outer world. Embrace this work not as a distant goal, but as the very substance of each moment. Persist, refine, and trust, and you will discover that life itself becomes the living expression of the reality you have chosen.